Welcome, trainers, to the PokeSphere. We're your destination for in-depth Pokemon news, community discussions, and editorial content. We're passionate about this franchise, and we're here to share our insights and connect with fellow fans. And today, we're talking Gen 10 theory. That's right, fans. Your boy Draco has been cooking all week long, partially thanks to an episode that I watched from Lore Keeper Toby. Happy to see that he's back in the community. But watching one of his recent videos got me thinking about where potentially we're going to see Gen 10. So I started digging around, doing a little research, and I've come up with possibly a potential idea. Now, mind you, at this point in time, I have not listened to a single rumor video, leak, or quote-unquote leak, whatever. I've not listened to a single rumor video, so I have no idea what is going on in the Pokemon space. This is just something that has popped into my head based on the facts that we have had over the last 30 years of Pokemon. Joining me today is, of course, Guren and our good friend, the Unseely King. And so let's jump into this theory. Of course, we're getting close to the iteration of the time for the newest iteration of Pokemon, which would be Gen 10. And, we're all hoping that it's going to coincide with the 30th anniversary of the series. And, of course, with every new generation is a new region. So, looking through all of our past games, past regions, and what they're based on, a couple of things became glaringly obvious to me that may or may not have crossed people's minds. Where is this region going? Well, I think in order to know where we might be going, we have to take a look at where we've been. And when you look at Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh, those are all areas based in Japan. Unova and Alola was, of course, USA. You've got Kalos, which is France, Galar, which is the UK, and Paldea, which was Spain and Portugal. All of these regions are in the northern hemisphere of the world. We have yet to explore a southern hemisphere. This is kind of where the theory starts to cook. 30 years of Pokemon, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of lore that goes behind this. From the very jump, we're going to go right to the first mythical Pokemon ever, Mew. Longtime fans will remember that originally Mew was found in the rainforests of South America, specifically Guyana. We're talking about the Southern Hemisphere. Now this, right off the jump, is pointing me, if we're going to go into a new generation after 30 years, what better jumping off point would we have than to start in the continent that started it all in terms of Pokemon lore. And so that's kind of where my first clue for, hey, maybe we're going to go into South America this time. Then you've got, throughout the years, you've got a bunch of different Pokemon that seem to fit the biology of creatures that we would find in South America, or references to South America. So for starters, Vaporeon. Vaporeon taken a lot of visual cues from an axolotl, with the fins around its neck, as well as the ears, similar to our own mascot of Mudkip. And you've got Pokemon like Sigilif, which is supposed to be a depiction of the Nazca lines of Peru. You've got Xatu and Natu, which have very Mesoamerican features, but also it depicts Andean indigenous art. You have Hawlucha, which is obviously your wrestler. You even had cosplay Pikachu, who was doing the exact same thing. You have Ludicolo, who was, an obvious representation of Mexican culture, music and dance. But even as recent as Gen 9 in Paldea, there were signs that we were looking at a potential South American region. Even so much so that, honestly, until it was revealed that we were going to Spain, I would have put money on going to South America, because you have the depiction of Fuecoco. Fuecoco, I found there was a Mayan effigy, and it had very similar, very striking, actually, images to the Mayan culture on just the Fuecoco alone. But we also ended up getting that Fuecoco was a fire ghost typing. Now, if you look at the Mayan zodiac, the crocodile is actually the first creature of the zodiac, which depicted its connection to the underworld, which if you go back into the Twitter sphere from many, many moons ago, I first called out that Fuecoco was going to be ghost typing based on this research that I had previously done. Same went with Quaxley as well as Sprigatito. I managed to call all three of their typings pretty much 5 days after they were announced. Which, no, I don't work for Nintendo, despite what my co-hosts say.
Lies and slander.
He's my uncle that works at Nintendo.
So here's the effigy compared to Fuecoco. You can see the similarities between the teeth, the overall body shape. It's very similar, So this was one of the things that I discovered. Then you move into our favorite feathered fowl, Quaxley, the blue-footed booby, which, although has a very wide range of habitats, it does habitate in South America as well, specifically in the Galapagos Islands, which is on the other side of the region from where I'm at, closer to where Guren is at. But even its full evolution of Quaxcoval, its dancing, it has a very similar look to the Carnival dancers of South America. And so, again, there was that whole lead-in to why does this feel more South American than it does Spain to me? Then you have our favorite little kitty, Sprigatito, which it looks like a lynx because of the way the face looks, but it could have easily been depicted as a jaguar, which is native to South America. Even down to Zarude, again, going back to the deep jungles of South America. I have a whole bunch of notes, and they're all over the place.
Speaking of Zarude, I still have not watched that movie. Fun fact. I have not watched that movie yet.
They're always going back to the jungles of this and that. Every time you see a Mew movie or anything like that, it always seems they're going back to a jungle. After 30 years, people kind of forget that, this originally was in South America. They were using real world locations. But then we move into the whole region in itself. Can South America be host to a Pokemon region? And absolutely yes. You've got the Amazon for the forest. You've got the Andes for the mountains. You've got Pampas for the grasslands. You even have arid desert areas in South America. There's a ton of culture that they can go back and just lean heavily into. Could you imagine a regional variant of Serperior similar to that of the Quetzalcoatl? But it's all these little clues that that Pokemon that the Game Freak has been dropping for the last several iterations of the game. Since we've never been south in the southern hemisphere, why wouldn't we start where it all began? And I think that's kind of where this is where I'm going with my theory on this, just because it's a brand new, it's 30 years, it's a new generation, it's a chance for new beginnings, which ironically, Fuecoco, the crocodile for the Mayan zodiac, also is a symbol of new beginnings. So, I'd like to say that maybe we're maybe I might be hitting pretty close to the mark on this one, but what do you guys think?
Let us know if you want to delve deeper into that sort of idea.
Also, check out our Discord, as well as we're on X and on Blue Sky.
Anyways, when it comes to any of the regions, you also have to look at the real world politics and marketing applicability. And if I'm not mistaken, South America is actually one of the places that they're not really pushing the Switch to right now. So I don't really see it being something that they're going to cater to. Full disclosure here, I have seen some of the leaks. I am about to say something predicated on something that I saw in the leaks in about 5 seconds. So
they're always rumors until they're confirmed.
Of course, always rumors until confirmed. This is also just, me thinking that other speculations might also be likely. So if you don't want to hear something that's based on the leaks, hop ahead about 20-30 seconds for me. If you don't hear my voice anymore, you're in the right spot. So I really like the idea of Greece and going back, but we also know that my fan region is heavily based on ancient civilizations and, past lost things. Visiting something that could touch on the old Phoenicians, Minoans, and the idea of pre-Greco-Roman civilization, could be that real world, like mythological dabble into this origin sort of thing. Maybe they're retconning to go, instead of the South Africa for Mew, they're going to go to the Mediterranean Minoan culture for Arceus. That's all I really want to touch on, because I don't want to go too hard onto leaks, and I just want to make sure that nobody's like taking this as serious, because it is based on the leaks.
You're going to be surprised. I actually really enjoy this theory. I really do. Here's my issue, though. Right now, for them to go to like South America, it would be a complete, I wouldn't say it would be a complete divergent. I think it would be way too similar to Paldea. A lot of the South American influence we got in Paldea has to do with the Spanish settling South America, the Caribbean islands and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it feels as though they'd probably let it cook for a generation, just so that way, we have a little bit of time away from that. Now, do I think this is eventually going to happen? Without a doubt. Like you said, we have no Southern Hemisphere regions, which is wildly surprising to me because of the diversity that is in the Southern Hemisphere. I mean, South America alone, you put it perfectly, has every possible biome you could want in a Pokemon game, and some that we haven't even seen in a game. It's just, they've seemed to move away from Mew, and to X's point, Arceus seems to be the way forward, if that makes sense. Would I love to see it? Yes, because I think I want to know why they found Mew in South America. Like, what about that area is where Mew goes, or where Mew can be found? Is there more of them? Is it, is what we thought wrong? Because we know that it's there, but we also know it can transform into other Pokemon. It can turn invisible, and it is probably the most, or one of the most intelligent Pokemon within the franchise that we have. So as much as I agree with you, I don't think it's for Gen 10, if that makes sense.
Although, just to throw a little thing in there, just remember, Gen 8 was England, Gen 9 was Spain, and the distance between those two regions, for their real world counterparts, is the same distance, or it's a similar distance between New Jersey to Florida.
Oh no, and I completely agree with you there. Culturally, they are widely different.
It's true, but I also do believe that South American culture is also very different, especially if you're taking into consideration the aspects of more the indigenous people as opposed to the Spanish influences, because they can really lean heavily into the indigenous culture.
So I actually had this conversation with a member of my Discord recently. Like X, we have our own region that we're working on called Devoria. It's based on parts of Canada and New England. One of our major influences is First Nations communities and culture and all that kind of stuff, where it's the indigenous lore that is influencing what we're doing. The conversation I had with one of the members was, I don't know if Nintendo would ever touch upon an indigenous culture because of how they've handled some things in the past. And I think they would worry about the fallout of it if something was misconstrued, taken the wrong way, or whether or not they purposely do it or not, put something in the game that turned into a problem. I find it's always been a very touchy subject, and it has every right to be a touchy subject, but it's one of those things where Nintendo likes to try to stay away from controversy if they can. So I wonder if that's what would stop them from doing that, at least in this instance.
Earlier, I was like, on that note, I was like, we do have a feathered serpent, and it's Koraidon. More or less, it is Koraidon. But I mean, that might give some implications too, right? Like, I know, like, it's a paradox. It's technically a paradox Pokemon, right? More or less. And it's like, but who's to say that it was a paradox? Let's say, like, like the whole point of paradox, like they were for the past side. They're Pokemon from the past. Who's to say they had to be from like Paldea? They could have been from a South American based region, that would have been really cool, especially since it was literally, like, I think the Pokedex entry called it like not the serpent, I think it was like the Wing King or something like that. So I mean, that's also pretty similar to some Aztecian kind of stuff, right? I think that'd be pretty cool. So I do like the theory as well, because I feel like there would be a lot of things that they could do with it. Will it be a Gen 10 game? I think I'm kind of like divided here. I would like it to be where the Gen 10 game would take place, but I also think maybe not for Gen 10. But after hearing what Unseely was talking about, since Pokemon has been on a throwing us a curveball kind of thing, or throwing us off the curve lately, what if they have a new region in a Legends game, and South American based region would be in that Legends game, or would be that Legends game? That's just my thought on it though. But yeah, I do like the theory. It would be very, very nice. I would love to visit that region too. Like maybe they can throw in that's where Kufent comes from, unless Kufent already comes from Paldea, which, you know.
Guren, you simply grazed utter brilliance. The theory that you just pitched and didn't actually hit on is brilliant. Please take the credit.
Wait, what am I reading?
Yeah, the whole thing that you just pitched, the idea that Koraidon is from the era and region that the Mew fossil originated.
Yeah.
You implied it, but never hit it hard on the head, and I really think you need to hit that there for the video.
I wasn't thinking about that, but you know what? That'd be pretty damn cool. Who knows? Maybe Koraidon was one of the first things that branched off from you. Who knows?
No. Okay, I'm gonna wait. Let's take this a step further. Screw it. We're going whole hog, and I do mean it. So what was that? What was that Pokemon that actually was two Pokemon together? Horse and Rider.
Oh, Calyrex.
Yeah, Calyrex. What if Koraidon was basically Mew's version of Calyrex?
It's a ride Pokemon. Oh god.
Mew tooling around on the back of Koraidon like he's a freaking motorcycle.
But what if Koraidon was one of the first forms of Mew? I mean, that's why it eats a sandwich and all of a sudden it can fly, or jump, or dig, or Yoshi tongue or something.
The originators of the H&M.
I think that has to primarily do with that's just Urban Mystica tomfoolery, I think.
Yeah.
I actually don't think they had a plan for that. They're like, how do we get them to do all these things that we really want them to do? Oh, make it eat it.
Disclaimer, kids, don't go eating random sparkly herbs. They will not grant you the ability to jump, fly, run, etc.
You may perceive those abilities though, but you're not gonna have them.
I was gonna say, you might think you are, but you ain't.
You're going to jail.
The perceived message that they might have been delivering there.
Like I said, as much as I like that idea, I think it's much more likely we are going to get a Mediterranean type region, which part of me wonders if we're going to get, it's going to be based on the Mediterranean as a whole, but I think it was Blueberry Academy was codenamed Atlantis, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It almost makes me wonder if the new region, instead of being like definitively Greek or definitively Roman or even definitively, like Egyptian, it is the region that is based on the mythical land of Atlantis, where like Extras put in the chat Gaia is Gen 10, correct?
Yes.
So Gaia is the chief god of literally all of those regions. She's the chief goddess of like the Mediterranean pantheons in some way, shape, or form. Each region, each area there has a Gaia reference. Not to mention, it was thought of that the Titans represented the old world, where Atlantis was from, and Gaia is the chief. Well, besides Kronos, she was the chief among the Titans. Which, if they do that, they're not restricted by regional politics. They don't have to be situationally aware of the world around them, which is a good place to be in at the current moment.
You know, ironically, again, going back to my starter theory, when I was starting to cook a bit, Sprigatito actually had a lot of connotations to Greek mythology as well, and I did show some links to that. So, that would be kind of funny that if I was right, but wrong at the same time. Which, by the way, would be par for the course, because it's not the first time I've made the right call, but for the wrong gen.
Well, that's my thing, is everybody's everybody's hell-bent that it's Greek. Like, everybody is saying, it's Greek because of the islands, or the winds and waves, or whatever the leaks are saying. I haven't been caught up on leaks in months. My thing is, well, it doesn't need to be Greece to have a bunch of islands, but it could be Atlantis, where you're island hopping because the whole region is a group of highly technological civilization. Not to mention, I am a very firm believer that the past paradoxes and the future paradoxes are a hint to something. I don't know what that is, but it is a hint to something. So why not have Gen 10 be your quote-unquote future paradoxal timeline, and then you could have Gen 11 be your past paradoxal timeline, where we do get to see, South America, lush jungles and all of that. And it could also work in the opposite way too, where, we have South America and then like in Atlantis or a Mediterranean type region.
So you're telling me for Gen 10, we're going to see Mega Metal Charizardmon?
I really, really hope not.
Metal Charizard.
You forgot the Mon.
But I do think we could see those armor forms that they were talking about for Sword and Shield.
Those armor forms sounded pretty nice. Like those.
The more that I think about Gen 10 and some of the stuff, the more I'm seeing the whole God Pokemon thing form. And I'm not talking about the creation trio of like Palkia, Dialga, Arceus, and Giratina, but all that is the foundation of it. Add to the whole Mediterranean vibe is Uranus was the father of Titan, son of Gaia, and Arceus created the Titans of time, space, and gravity, distortion, antimatter. It's still up for debate. So what if we're going to see the origins of Arceus play out for Generation 10? Much like Draco's arguing that we'd go to South America to see the origins of Mew and the proliferation of the different Pokemon species start happening, I'm kind of on the other side that we might be seeing the origins of gods themselves. Draco, do you remember back in the playground things where they were talking about the Poke gods in between Gen 1 and Gen 2? Like, this would be old Poke Blue and stuff.
Yeah, no, I got nothing, man.
Yeah, Mew 3, Poke Blue.
Okay, yeah, Mew 3, Poke Blue, or Pika Blue.
Yeah,
I remember
Pika.
Pikachu.
And then this is also where the Toxicroak, or not the Toxicroak, that's the official one. Like the very first Pokemon ever. It was basically like a weird Polyworld looking thing. Toxiquil, I think it was.
The winds, the whole like island hopping thing that the stuff was or is rumored to be. Yeah, I mean, it could be Mediterranean focus. It could be an Atlantis thing. Who knows? Maybe they could just do what Pokemon usually does, right? They kind of just pull like a bunch of other stuff. Like they have like the main region inspiration, and then just pull like a bunch of other stuff to like to like mash onto there, so that there's like more than just that stuff. Like Hoenn Sutopolis City, right? Like I think that was like one of the biggest things during rumor time, right? It's like, oh, this place is based off of a region from Greece. Can we be, maybe we are going to finally see, that Greek region or whatever, because Sutopolis City exists,
To like branch off of what X was saying, if you're going to do a Greek region of Mediterranean, like if you're going to touch upon Greek, Roman, or Egyptian, the thing that you have to touch upon is the very well-known pantheons of these regions. You have the Olympians for Greek and Roman. You have the Egyptian gods for Egypt. What's an easy way for them to touch on that without having to go back and do it twice more when they go to Italy, when they go to Egypt? Cover it all in one. Because I can't see the Pokemon Company touching upon like that Mediterranean area without making some kind of version of like the 12 Olympians, or I think it's the 10 main, the 10 head Egyptian gods. Like you just don't, there's no way you don't see that play out in some fashion.
Agreed.
I don't even think we really even know anything about Gen 10 like they think they do, like they think we do. If I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll tell you, if you want to start out, where the best place to go is down under. Do you think we could see an Australian or an oceanic-based thing that covers the islands concept just the same as the Mediterranean? It just doesn't have the same cultural connections to Atlantis and the Minoans / Greco-Romans, but it does have a lot of interesting ties to the ancient lost culture similar to Atlantis.
Sorry, I heard Down Under, and then I was thinking of the song, I come from a land down under.
I triggered Guren's ADHD. Now that's going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
My only issue with it being Greece, which again, if the rumors are true, is that it's another region based in the northern hemisphere. And it's like, when are we going to start seeing some southern hemisphere locations?
Have any of the spin-off games been in the Southern Hemisphere? Just as a curiosity.
I'm gonna say no, but I haven't played a lot of them either.
I'm almost wondering if they would do it where I don't necessarily think it would happen this way, but I could see Game Freak and the Pokemon Company being like, our main series games take place in the Northern Hemisphere. Our spin-off games take place in the Southern Hemisphere. But I could be wrong. Well, because I know Ore is based on Arizona.
Fior in Pokemon Ranger, fantasy region, no real world. The Almia region is Hokkaido. Oblivia is the Oki Islands in Japan. Pokemon Conquest is feudal Japan. The Snap series, self-contained island ecosystem. Farum, Japanese islands like Okinawa. Rhyme City is similar to London or New York. Pokemon Go is the real world. Pokemon Unite is a completely fictional island. And the Paseo region is also no real world counterpart. So no Pokemon game in existence takes place in the Southern Hemisphere. Not one.
That is so weird to me.
This is your shot, Pokemon Company.
Has there ever been a Southern Hemisphere game? No. Why not start now?
Yeah, I have so many questions.
The Antarctica adventure.
Well, Ice Week.
Oh God. But see, now that brings together a whole nother question for me of, in the past 30 years, why have they not done anything with the Southern Hemisphere?
Hence why I was coming up with this theory. What's one of the most famous places in South America where the whole damn thing kicks off? Where in the Southern Hemisphere does it kick off? South America. It all started in South America, and because it all started with Mew.
Hey, now you're gonna make me go into a very dark rabbit hole of why.
Marketing, because most of the Northern Hemisphere has a much higher GPD,
Because I was gonna say that, is it just purely based on these regions give us more money, so these regions are what we're going to cater to?
Yeah, but at the same time, if you look at it, the southern peaks of South Africa and South America are both just as far as up there as the Iberian Peninsula, most of Northern Asia, Japan, China, But honestly, you really can see sort of a band across that, so that where they haven't touched, and it also kind of argues why they're not going to touch India either. Sorry, Franitar.
Yeah, Kufa, man. Kufa, come on.
I mean, honestly, this is something I would love to throw over to Toby's fence to see what he would find, because it's an interesting it's an interesting thing. There has never been a Southern Hemisphere region, not one. So why?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Why us not having a Chinese region and all the references to a Chinese region, but not having it, that makes sense to me. Them talking about Hisui and Braveberry coming from an unnamed region to the north. It's essentially based on, I can't remember what the eagle is based on, but it lives in Russia. Again, I understand why that region has not come across. But to my knowledge, there is no political issues with really anything in the Southern Hemisphere that they would have to be worried about or be hesitant on. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you might know more than I do, Draco, on that, but I can't see any reason for why they wouldn't go into the Southern Hemisphere.
I've got nothing, man. I've got absolutely nothing.
Although looking at this map that he just shared, if we're going to see a Southern Hemisphere region and it's based on, GDP, you are realistically probably looking at Australia.
Yet ironically, Guyana, South America, where Mew originated from, is exactly the same color as the US.
Yeah. Now I have questions.
But honestly, that's just a small area. I mean, you're really counting on the people of Guyana themselves to just really hone in on that, which then I would do a targeted marketing thing for that. But if they could develop a region, you also want the surrounding area to be big. be big. I don't think they would do an Australia-based game as much as they would just incorporate Oceania and base it off of maybe like the bottom half with Tasmania and some of the outlying islands. Or maybe we'll go, northern and go into New Zealand.
So one of the things that I've always wondered, and just purely based on what the whole shtick of Pokemon is when it comes to evolution, why have we never been to Madagascar in a Pokemon game? The whole process of evolution, that whole theory derives from that area. The amount of, I guess, potential that you could have just by us going there is gigantic. And I don't understand why we haven't. Although now I want to know why we're not going to the Southern Hemisphere at all. But, what do I know? I just work here. I hate you, sir.
Long before Madagascar even existed. And there's a reason why it's not really part of the canon right now.
I'm going to be doing a massive deep dive now into probably just trying to understand why we haven't gone to a Southern Hemisphere region. I'm also going to probably sift through text on every character that's ever spoken in any of the games to see if it's been referenced at all.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, when we have our next episode, you're going to know what it's about. Me going... It's just going to be me, my long hair frizzed out going, Gray, Jake, why haven't they done it?
Yes.
Yeah, I am literally like, my brain is melting as we speak of. I can't understand this.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Your head's going to be on Maui next.
You guys ever think of the idea of doing a Saudi Arabia region? The GDP is on the rise. It's huge. WWE has been doing shows there and proliferating, building the economy even more. Like, that's a world stage right now. That would be an interesting move to go into with the Pokemon IP.
I mean, so again, I would love to see a Saudi Arabian region. I think there is a lot of culture there that should be able to be seen and, embraced in some, well, not, I wouldn't say embraced, but just a better understanding for people to see, what it actually is in that culture. But again, with the current climate and other political issues, I highly doubt we'll ever see a region solely dedicated in the Middle East.
That is valid. There's always some sort of conflict.
Yeah.
Again, though, like I could be wrong. I mean, I know we have Papa Nintendo to my left on the screen, so he might be able to give us more insight.
Big Uncle CEO aside, I'd rather hear from the viewers. We've already posted South America. We've mentioned, Saudi Arabia or India. We've pitched the Mediterranean, some of the old ones. What do you guys think? What are some of the places that you would really want to see? And why do you think that could actually be shoehorned or properly fit into the canon?
Let us know down below. And also be sure to share, like, subscribe. And as always,
we'll see you in the next video.